bold, and extremely fun. It's Sunrise with Craig Vronick right here on KCMX AM 880. Lively conversations around news, politics, and people, plus local news and weather every 30 minutes. We want to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or go to kcmxam.com. Join in the conversation by calling 541-772-8255. Sunrise, where it matters what you think.
Good morning, everybody. 7 minutes after the hour, you've made it to the Sunrise Show right here on KCMX News Talk 880. You didn't make it here by accident. World headquarters. Of course, you can find our website, kcmxam.com, and our links are there, our Facebook, our Twitter, our email links are there as well, and even the streaming is there as well. And I want to welcome into the studio, of course, on the phone, our next guest is Kent Burden and his website, mylifefitness.com. But Kent has more than 25 years of fitness experience. And, of course, he was a football player, and then his back injury ended his football career. But what's so great about Kent is his meditation and his visualization, and because he's done that, he's turned himself into a wonderful best-selling author. His work has been featured in Shape Magazine, Natural Health, Fitness, Body and Soul, American Spa, Fitness Cycling, Golf Digest for Women, and New Age Journal magazines, and, of course, his book, Yin Yang Fitness. I'm telling you, there's so many books that he's putting out, and the next book is coming out this Friday called The Office Workout. But I love the fact that he put out this book, Is Your Chair Killing You? And Kent, want to welcome you to the program. How's everything going?
Everything is great. How's it going there with you in Southern Oregon?
It's really good, actually. And I know you've been super busy because you're trying to put the finishing touches on this book. But, this workout, of course, in the office workout coming out this week. But you also had this book, How to Save Big Money by Letting Your Employees Get Moving at Work, and the Staggering Costs of a Sedentary Workforce. This just hit national news that people, when they sit all day, that sedentary action, they die younger.
Absolutely. It quite honestly, it is shocking research. Being a personal trainer and having a degree in natural health science and exercise science, we're brought up sort of thinking that if we can be active, we can be healthy. And we've always defined active as doing 30 to 60 minutes of exercise 3 to 5 days a week. And quite literally, I mean, we're talking about, for years and years and years, that's what we've told people to do. And what's shocking about this research is that what we found is that if you sit for extended periods of time, no matter how much you exercise, your risk of dying goes up exponentially for each hour that you sit without moving, which to me was absolutely shocking.
Yeah, and I've thought about it, that it seems like when you're sitting, you immediately start cutting off the circulation to your legs.
Absolutely. That's part of it. What's even more kind of amazing is the fact that what happens when you sit creates a cascade of chemical reactions within your body. And most of us don't think too much about this, but the truth of the matter is that sitting is actually one of the most sedentary things you can do. And what this research has sort of brought up is that the longer you sit, what ends up happening, and this is kind of complicated, but I'll try to keep it super duper simple and at least a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
what happens is when you sit, okay, there are all of these little muscles. We always know the big muscles, the chest and the biceps and all those, muscles that make us look big and strong, and we're all studly because we got the cool six-pack.
Right.
Okay? But those muscles are mover muscles. That's what we call them in the fitness industry.
Right.
Okay? But they're
Mover
all
muscles,
these postural muscles that are that are little muscles that basically hold you up, make you stand up. Those muscles are really, really needy of energy, and they work in a different way than our big mover muscles. Our big mover muscles, we all know how tired we get if we start lifting weights where we start running. But our postural muscles actually hardly ever tire, much like our heart muscle, okay? But those muscles don't really tire, but they really need a lot of energy, and the energy that they use is glucose and lipids, which is basically sugar and fat. Okay, when you're not using those postural muscles, standing up and getting your body upright, okay, what's going on is that the lipids and the glucose that those muscles would be using dump directly back into your bloodstream.
Wow.
So what you end up with is this fatty, sugary, goopy stuff that's running through your bloodstream that should be being used by your postural muscles. What that does is it causes damage in your metabolism. So one of the things that they're saying in all of these studies is that actually sitting for extended periods of time is almost as bad for your health as smoking cigarettes. Now, you go, that's crazy talk. How could that possibly be? Well, the deal is that what happens is, much like smoking, if you were to smoke a pack of cigarettes a day and then say, well, I'm gonna go out and run 3 or 4 miles, and that'll just get rid of all that smoke damage that happened to my lungs. I'll just know that that's not going to happen. The smoke damages your lungs. Running isn't going to undo that damage. Well, when it comes to sitting, all of that sugar and lipids creates a certain amount of damage within your metabolism.
Right.
And running and doing 30 to 60 minutes of exercise doesn't undo that damage.
Kent, and if you're just joining us, we've got Kent Burden on the phone with us, and his website is mylifefitness.com, and it's fantastic. And, Kent, you're addressing it very simply and succinctly, and that is the posture muscles versus the mover muscles, and it's immediately aware, it's obvious that if you've got glucose and fat that's going toward and designed for those postural muscles, but yet you're not using them, then it's going to recirculate and right back, and it's going to go back.
Sugar in your blood means that your risk of getting diabetes goes up, and all of those fats in your blood mean that more than likely that ends up in your arteries, which is heart disease.
You mentioned diabetes. I just heard yesterday, and this gave me, that's why 29 million Americans on diabetes, but this is even worse. 86 million Americans are what they're called, they're hooked up into this pre-diabetes. That means they're headed toward diabetes. They're 1 in 3. 1 in 3 Americans are in the pre-diabetes, and this is why this is hitting epic proportions. And if you go online, go to Google and say, "Is your chair killing you?" You have an entire page of articles. Is your chair killing you? And of course, Amazon, and that's the second, right there is Kent's book. Right there on Amazon.com, but it goes the whole page of people talking about 7 ways sitting will kill you, popular science. New York City woman, sitting is killing you, your desk, your chair, killing you in your business. And then you have addressed it related to workplace. You think about a high rise and how many people are just, floor after floor after floor of people sitting. Wow.
Absolutely. And that's the bad news, and I've always heard people. I do talks on this, and I actually consult with businesses on how to make their employees more active over the course of the day. I always, whenever I put this information out there, first thing people say is, "Oh, I might as well just dig a hole and jump in because now I can't even sit down." Oh my goodness! Everything's going to kill me, and the truth of the matter is, No, none of us get out of here alive. Okay?
That's right. That's right.
But what you want to do is you want to make your life as long as it can be, and you want that life to be a fruitful one. You really want you really want to make the most of your every day. When we talk about the diabetes thing, I saw that statistic with the 29 million. What was even more shocking to me was that the number in 2010 was 26 million.
Oh, okay.
Which means it's going up. And 4 years is not a long time. You've added 4 or 5 million people in 4 years who are diabetic.
Now all of a sudden,
and that's not even counting the ones that have passed away.
Exactly, but exactly, and so now we've got some real data to work on that. You know, it's awesome. Just so you know, Kent, I just stood up.
Well, you know what? That's the good news right there. Is that the reality of this is that this is actually a very, very simple fix. And it's much easier than what we were talking about before with the 30 or 60 minutes of exercise. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need to do 30 to 60 minutes of exercise. That's not what we're saying here, because that kind of exercise works your body in a different way. But in order to lower your risk of diabetes, heart disease, cancer, stroke, obesity, okay, all you really have to do is get up and move for 1 to 5 minutes every hour. The deal is that our body was meant to be active. I mean, when you think about the fact that over the course of 100,000 years, okay, we as human beings populated the world without the use of horses, donkeys, the wheel, carts, nothing. We walked. So that tells you just how active we as a species have always been. We're explorers. You got up in the morning 10,000 years ago, and you started walking around looking for food. And when you weren't looking for food, you were trying to find new hunting territories or find some sort of territory that you could move your people into as hunting got worse. So we are an incredibly active species, okay? And all of a sudden, in the last, and quite honestly, in the last 50 to 70 years is when all of this started to change. Suddenly, we got chained to our desk.
Well,
okay? And for you and me personally, this is really bad, okay? It's our health we're talking about. But if you're a business person, this is costing you a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
And the fix is such a simple one. It's really just about making sure that your people aren't chained to their desks, that they can move, and there's lots of different ways that you can do that.
Exactly. Kent, we've got a quick break. So let's get a quick little break in here and come right back. And we've got Kent Burden on with us, ladies and gentlemen. He is putting out this newest book, The Office Workout. It's going to be released this Friday. Kent Burden, and of course, his books are on Amazon.com. You can also get to his website, mylifefitness.com. You can also check out KentBurden.com, BURDEN, for all of you purist author lovers out there. And we'll come right back. Kent, this is awesome stuff. Yeah, are you saving yourself money? I just stood up. I know how that is. I know how that is. Oh my God.
I'm currently writing 2 books, and I have to actually set an alarm to get up every hour.
Yeah. Okay, right back.
Stay tuned. Sunrise will return in a moment on KCMX News Talk 880. little bold, and extremely fun. Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on KCMX AM 880. Lively conversations around news, politics, and people, plus local news and weather every 30 minutes. Here's Craig.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 23 minutes after the hour. Glad you are with us this morning. Great interview continuing with Kent Burden, and he's an author of wellness and fitness coach, and his expertise is going all around the world. And of course, you can catch him on Twitter and Facebook and constantly tweeting. Of course, his website, mylifefitness.com. And there are multiple books. And of course, we first connected when his book came out. Is Your Chair Killing You? And it's actually hit. It's on Amazon, and now it's a big deal. And Kent, the interesting thing with the Affordable Care Act and health care being in the forefront with everybody, I wonder if people aren't maybe displaying some more accountability for themselves, and that whole gym experience and staying active, staying healthy, and also it clears your mind from stress.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting from the standpoint of sort of the business thought process was most businesses knew that unhealthy employees cost them money, from both the fact that if you've got an employee who has something like diabetes, they have more sick days. They tend to be not as productive. They've got other things going on. They've got to test their blood sugar. They've got, or heart disease. Someone has a heart attack. They end up out of work for a long period of time. Not only that, but healthcare premiums, all of us know from a business standpoint, healthcare premiums are out of this world.
Oh, they're out of control.
It's astronomical. And so we've always known that unhealthy workers cost us money. The problem was that most businesses thought of getting their employees healthy had to happen outside of the workplace. And outside of the workplace is a place where the boss, where the corporation doesn't really have a lot of pull with people. If you were a business with deep pockets, you might go as far as to put in a bunch of money to create a gym or workout classes that your employees could go to after work. You often, you might institute smoking cessation and all sorts of things that would help with that kind of thing. But the thought process was, I really don't have a lot of control over my employees, because most of this that has to happen in order for them to be healthy has to happen outside of work. Well, this new research is showing that really isn't the case. Most Americans spend between 7 and 11 hours in the seated position every single day.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
That's huge, okay? But as an employer, if you create an office space that forces those people to get up during the day, you can go a long way towards improving your employees' health. We've done everything from simple things like having, the entire office sets an alarm, and when that alarm goes off, everyone is supposed to stand up. That's a really simple way in which to do that. You can, and the alarm goes off again 3 minutes later, and everybody sits down. We've done things like talk to people about creating a walking meetings. Okay.
Oh, very good.
You're going to have a meeting, but instead of going down to the conference room, okay, instead there's a route that your 5 or 6 people walk during the meeting. Now, that's a really interesting solution, because the other thing that has come up in research is that people who walk and talk and think actually tend to be more creative and more productive, because that movement stimulates brain function. Very simply, you're getting more oxygen and wonderful nutrients to the brain, which causes you to be, more creative and to think clearer.
Well, all of these things, Ken, are all coming together. I mean, hydrating yourself, right? And then the next
Yep,
thing
absolutely.
is, because the brain needs water to stay hydrated. It also activates everything going on. I tell you, I want to point out to our listeners that Kent has on his website, mylifefitness.com. And if you go to the Workout at Work Boss Guide, he has got a free download, a PDF download, and it's how to save big money by letting your employees get moving at work, the staggering costs of a sedentary workforce. And this is excellent. This is a white paper that's in the workout book series, and love that you've offered that to anyone that's on the website. You just get to it'd be Workout at Work Boss Guide at the top of the bar there after you get to the mylifefitness.com. Fantastic, Ken. I mean, I just love everything you're doing, and this is just great. And it shows, I mean, it's not difficult. In fact, I know, of course, I'm kind of an active guy, so I'm up and down all the time, but I get crampy and kind of cranky, to say the least, when I'm stuck sitting. So
yep.
and
that's actually your body's direct response to the lipids and the sugar in your system. And basically what your body is saying is, hey, dummy, get up.
Exactly.
And for most of us, the hard part is, okay, and this is me to a T, is that it's not that you don't want to. Not that you. The hard
you
part
just
is
forget.
that when you get focused on what you're doing in your work, okay, time just flies. You don't
Time to
realize
fly, yeah.
How long you've been sitting.
Good deal. Hey, Kent, we've got to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Sunrise will return in a moment on KCMX News Talk 880. We want to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, or go to KCMXAM.com and go to the Talk to Us tab. Send us your thoughts. Lively conversations around news, politics, and people, plus local news and weather every 30 minutes.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. 33 minutes after the hour, 57 degrees, on its way to 88 today. And yesterday was just gorgeous. Same kind of thing, 87, whatever it was, but a breeze was kicking in, really helped cool things off. Oh, wow, it's going to be great. Oh, with Cruise Week going on and everything else, fantastic. We've got Kent Burton on with us this morning. His website is mylifefitness.com, and chock full of things. You can find all of his books and videos and things on amazon.com. And just, of course, type in Kent Burden, B-U-R-D-E-N, and you'll find all of that kind of stuff. He's got 7 books to its credit right now, and he's putting 2 more out by the end of the year, and it's just fantastic. Of course, the next office workout is coming out this Friday. Very cool. And, of course, then working on this. And just, it doesn't take much, but it takes a matter of some awareness. But, Kent, thanks for being on the program.
Well, thanks for having me.
This is, isn't it something for you that the national news now has picked up on this issue of, is your chair killing you? And everybody's writing about it. I mean, I've got all kinds of articles, and, of course, I went through all last year, and then here it is, and you just been. When did your chair killing you come out?
Is Your Chair Killing You came out in 2012.
Yeah.
But I actually, it was sort of an interesting how it happened. I was the Mind Body Program Director at Spa Ojai here in Southern California.
Right.
And one day I was sitting in my office and I was reading through Men's Health. And I was on my break, I swear. It wasn't on company time, if you happen to be listening out there. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I get you.
I was sitting and I was reading, and I read this article. And the article basically stated that, there was some new research that showed that sitting was really, really bad for you. And I started reading through the thing, and in all honesty, my first thought was, this is a bunch of malarkey. Back in 2010, I've got my degree. Nobody in exercise science is talking about that sitting was bad for you and that doing 30 to 60 minutes of exercise wasn't enough to undo the damage that sitting did. But I was so intrigued by the article that I called a couple of the researchers that were quoted in the article. And the only reason I even took it partly seriously was because one of the researchers was from the Mayo Clinic, which, come on. It's one of the most prestigious research places in the country.
Yeah.
And Dr. James Levine was the lead researcher, who is very well known in those circles, as well as another researcher that was in Australia. So I called both of these guys, and they put out a case that was so compelling to me. So then I went out and started talking to a whole bunch of other researchers who were looking at this stuff. And at that point, it was tantalizing, but there wasn't a lot of research that had been published at that point to substantiate it. It was mostly small studies that were interesting. I talked to a researcher in Australia who was about to publish some research that he had done over 5 years and was 2 million people in the study. In other words,
wow.
he compiled a whole bunch of studies together and looked at it from the standpoint of who lived longest and how long you sat, how fast your mortality rate went up. And what this study of 2 million people found was that if you sat more than 3 hours a day without getting up, your chances of dying within the next 5 years went up to 20%. And if you sat more than 7 hours a day, your chances of dying went up in 5 years, went up by 40%.
Wow.
Which is huge. I mean, and so that's when I decided to write the book.
Well, here's the next thing: is this study based off of 2 million people? I mean,
yeah. It's not a 3 or 4 or 15 or 20 person study. I mean, that's and since then, actually, 7 or 8 more studies have come out. And so, to be honest, I'm not shocked that this is making big news nationally at all. It's actually been fairly big news in Australia and Canada for the last couple of years. And in fact, the Australian government and the Canadian government put out things in which they basically said, people need to get up every 1 to 5 minutes for every hour. They've actually put it in their national guidelines, both Australia and Canada.
Well, and if you just type in, is your chair killing you? You get an entire page, and I've even gone to the second page. Let's see if it even goes there. Yeah, it's into the second page, and we're talking about unorthodox.com. I mean, popularmenshealth.com, popularscience.com. I mean,
well, and if you actually go in and look up health risks of sitting, you'll get 25 pages.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Forbes. I mean, these are great, large groups that are writing this. So, yeah, that's excellent. Well, Kent, it's awesome, of course, with what you're doing. And mylifefitness.com is the website. We've got author Kent Burden on with us. His last name, Burden, Kent Burden, if you want to look him up on Amazon and check out his books. This office workout coming out this Friday. Tell us about that.
It's really a refinement. What I did in Is Your Chair Killing You is I sort of put out, because I was trying to prove my point, I put that out, and I also created exercises that you could do that were at your desk, that didn't require any equipment, any of that stuff. What I've done with the office workout is I've put together 75 exercises that are a little more sort of conventional. What I found is that many employers, once they get all of this information, they want to institute where you can do exercises right at your desk. They really want you to be they want you to get more active. And if it's only 1 to 5 minutes, they're like, yeah, that's fine. And so I put together 75 exercises that you can use: the exercise ball, rubber bands, hand weights, that you can do right at your desk, that are a little more active than the exercises that I created for Is Your Chair Killing You? So it's sort of it's the next step in the thought process of being more active at work.
Well, yeah, and here's the next thing is, business and business employment and offices now are having options and desks that, raise up so that you can stand up, and the lights and the monitors are all on booms now. I mean, they don't have to.
And it's interesting because you've got a whole lot of options when it comes to that kind of stuff. There are sit-stand desks made by a company that I work with is called Ergotron, and they create a desk that basically clamps to your current desk, and it has a hydraulic lift on it, and you can lift it up or sit it down so that you can either sit or stand and continue to work right at your computer. James Levine, who I talked about earlier, who was the lead researcher for the Mayo Clinic in there, he has a treadmill desk. And so when I went to interview him in Minnesota and went to his lab, he actually has a desk that has a treadmill under it, and he walks at about 1 mile an hour while he types and talks on the phone and does all of that. And this is where you'll start to get people's interest. James lost 30 pounds doing that in a year and a half.
Wow.
Didn't change anything but the fact that he walked at a 1 to 1.5 mile an hour pace every day during his work, and he dropped 30 pounds in a year and a half. I found really interesting.
Well, yeah. What's the group that you work with? Ergonomic what?
Ergotron is the name of the Ergotron, and they're actually they're a sit-stand desk manufacturer.
Very
good. They make really good products. I've got one in my office, and my wife has one in her office as well.
Fantastic. Wow, that's just amazing. I mean, it's like I said, I think we've talked about this, is that the accountability of personal accountability, both of eating and lifestyle, and how many times have we seen wealthy people, and if they don't have their health, they feel as if they have nothing.
Well, and now I think that with this, you really don't have a lot of excuses, because this is easy. I mean, this isn't doing high-intensity training. This isn't, lifting. It doesn't have to be a bunch of lifting weights. This can just be stand up every once in a while.
Well, and this isn't break a sweat and change your clothes and go to the gym and deal with that and take a shower before you put your clothes
exactly.
on.
And by the way, I point that out in the office workout, is that I've sort of become the Ms. Manners of working out at the office. The thought process when you work out at the office is not the same as the gym. You don't want to get sweaty.
Right.
Okay. You really, and you don't want to make a whole bunch of weird grunty noises as you're doing exercises, and you don't want to do these things in front of paying customers, clients, or whatever. But there's a whole sort of way in which to do this that does not disrupt the business at all. Our thought process is, my whole office will be a gym. That's not what this is at all.
Yeah, no,
it's very inconspicuous. It's very, very short duration. It's really super simple.
Well, when you think the alternative, and everybody sitting at their desk for hours and hours at a time, like you're saying, just to get up and move around every hour is a huge change.
Well, and it's interesting, because that hasn't always been the way it is. I mean, if you watch the show Mad Men,
oh yeah,
how often do people walk from one another's desk to tell them simple, mundane things? My father was a guidance counselor, a junior high guidance counselor. Okay, and it was interesting because I went to work with my dad a few times, and my dad had what you would think of as being the quintessential office job. All he did was talk to kids all day and write down their stuff. But every time my dad had to talk to a kid, he had to walk to the classroom, pick up the kid, bring him back to the office, okay? And this was a Michigan classroom, so there were 3 stories of school. So he had to go up and down the steps. He had to carry file folders that weren't files in a computer. They were paper files, and they were big. They were, you're 10 pounds worth of paper that he carried up and down steps and around. Our offices in the last 15 years, because of our technology, have really just become jail, if you will. I mean, there's no reason to get up anymore.
No, little cubicles. Yeah, little cubicles. You have the intercom button, and you send things via email, and you get response back, and you answer the phone, you make the calls. You never really, aside from, a coffee break, and if you don't do that or bring coffee with you, boom, you sit down, you camp out at your desk.
Interesting because, oftentimes if someone in the office is almost never at their desk, people start asking, oh, he must be goofing off. He's never at his desk. Where is this guy? And yet, the technology, if we were smart, the technology we can be productive from anywhere. I mean, our smartphone, on my phone, I can tap into my PC.
Oh, yeah?
And see the screen of my PC from my phone. So if I'm out at the beach, I can actually be writing because of between my phone and my tablet. I can actually sit and write at the beach.
I love it. We could be interviewing on the beach. I could be with you. We could
have our cool board shorts on and looking at the waves as we did radio.
We could be ordering a great sandwich or something like that, a falafel or something while we're interviewing on the beach.
And have one of those really cool Bloody Marys with bacon and everything in it, right there on the beach at 8 in the morning. We can do that.
Oh, it's awesome. Kent, thank you so much. We're out of time, but it's awesome, and I appreciate it. I can't wait to hear more about, of course, your book releases. The Office Workout releases Friday. Kent Burden is the author, and you can go to mylifefitness.com. All kinds of things on his website, all kinds of great stuff. And business owners, there's a wonderful white paper there on how you can save money and everything else, keep your employees happy and healthy and everything else. Kent, great to talk to you.
Great talking to you. Have a great week, and enjoy the Medford
cruise.
Cruise. Enjoy the Medford cruise. Everyone, get out there, cruise.
I love it. All right, we'll be back. Thanks, Kent. We'll be right back. More on the Sunrise Show when we return.
Stay tuned. Sunrise will return in a moment on KCMX News Talk 880.